All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Teacher versus Bot series. Last time we played against Wally from Scotland, the 1800 rated player. We created some issues with our king's safety, and we had to deal with that before proceeding on. And it turned out okay for us in the end, but that was a close one. Today, we're going to go a little higher. We're going to well, let's go ahead and check it out. We're on chess.com. Play bots. And as you guys remember, we started out with Martin, the 250. Then we went to Alani, the 400. And then went to John Jay, the 700. And then we left. This was the beginner section. We went out of beginner, went to intermediate. We played Maria, 1000 rated from Mexico. And then we went and played Nelson, the 1300 rated player from South Africa. And then we moved on to the advanced section and we played Isabel, 1600 rated player. And then, is that a Panama flag? Maybe from Panama. And then after Maria, the 1600, we played Wally, the 1800 from Scotland. And today we're going to go to a 2000. We're going to play Lee. Lee is from Taiwan, which is an island to the east of China. And we are going to challenge her. Let's see if our recording is going. Yes, okay. All right, here we go. All right, she opens with Ni hao. Don't be mad when I win, okay? All right. So at the 2000 level, guys, we're looking at, there's not going to be any tactical mistakes. Lee is not going to give us a pawn. Like, I couldn't believe that Wally did that at 1800, but Wally gave us a pawn in the last game. At this level, there will be no free material, and we have to make good positional decisions. We have to be tactically sound, and we have to protect our king. We have to gain control of the center. We have to not get a cramped position. We need to gain space. We need to not waste time. And in the beginning, we need to complete those 3 golden rules. So let's go ahead and we're going to play. Here we go. Ni hao. All right. So we are white. We're going to do the 3 golden rules and we'll do a pawn in the center. This is called the English opening. And Lee writes here, there are some aggressive options in the English. And then she follows it up with, let's make this quick. All right. Okay. Pawn center, we're going to do bishops and knights out, developed. Okay. She's going for, looks like going for a Nimzo Indian type of setup here. Do we want to allow it? Yeah, that's fine. If she wants to play bishop b4. No, she did not. Okay. So we're going to... All right, so threatening to capture. Let's keep this pawn here because if we can keep this pawn here, what does it do to the activity of this bishop? Not very active, right? If we allow the bishop to capture or we capture, we're going to allow this bishop to have more active squares. Let's keep this pawn here, and we're going to play our pawn to d5. Remember, one element in chess is to try to restrict the activity of your opponent's pieces. Okay, so now I think Lee realized, okay, this is not going to be a good diagonal for this bishop. So she decided to put it on a stronger diagonal, which was a smart positional plan. She's aiming for her bishop to go here, which that would be a much stronger diagonal for her bishop. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we are going to thinking about putting a bishop here. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Another pawn in the center to strengthen our central control, our center pawns. Okay. All right, so let's see here, folks. We want to continue with the 3 golden rules. I'm just contemplating this pawn here. Will it be weak on this e-file where our king is not castled, where it's still on. I think it'll be fine. Let's go. Ooh, wait a second here. I don't know. I kind of like now. That's too weakening. Let's just get our pieces developed. Golden rules. All right, and sure enough, Lee did put her bishop on this diagonal. That was smart, and we are going to continue. You know what? I don't want the bishop to come in here. The bishop's not going to be very active because, you know, this is an okay square, but it can't come here, it can't come here, can't come here, and it can't come here, and it could put a pin on the knight, and I don't want the pin. So we're going to invest a little time into not allowing this bishop to come to g4 to put a pin on our knight. Okay? And so here we're going to add some protection to this pawn here. Now, Lee is... So let's ask ourselves. Lee played her pawn to a6. What do you think she's trying to do here? She's trying to gain... I assume she's trying to gain space on the queen side by following that up with pawn here. We have pieces on this square here. And let's prevent Lee from playing here. And we can do that by playing our pawn right here to a4. Because now if she tries to go here, we're going to win material. A pawn will be hitting it, knight will be hitting it, and the bishop will be hitting that. So, and by playing a4, we also are gaining space. All right? We want our pieces to have space. We don't want them to be in a cramped position. Okay, so this knight played to d7, probably eyeing e5 is my guess. We want to get castled though. We want to get king safety. Okay, so is Lee attacking anything? Well, she's hitting our bishop, but it's protected by her queen. She's attacking the knight. It's protected by our queen and the pawn, but we don't want to take back the pawn because that would ruin our kingside pawn structure, making our king weak. All right, so we want to decide what we're going to do. Do we want to lead this knight here? Do we want to capture? All right. Would trading knights, would that help our position? Would that hurt our position? Would that help our freedom? Would it help our opponent's freedom? All right. One thing I do like about taking this, actually there's two things I like about taking this knight. Trading this knight would do a couple things. First of all, black would only be able to catch with the pawn. There's no other piece defending this square. So it would have to capture the pawn. Now with the pawn there, what does that do to Lee's bishop? Does it make it stronger or weaker? Weaker. It makes it less active. Now there's a... Lee developed her bishop to g7 to be on this nice strong diagonal. But when there's a pawn here, it's not that strong anymore. And it gives us a passed protected pawn on d5. So I think those are two positional pluses for us, which argue in favor to trading the knights. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. So we have some nice positional pluses. We have a nice passed connected pawn on d5. And what that means, passed pawn, means there's no other pawns that can impede this pawn from going up. In the end game, having a passed pawn is a positional plus. It's an advantage for us. Okay, so I think white has an advantage right now due to the things that we just talked about. Have we completed the 3 golden rules yet? No, we have a bishop here that needs to get developed. We have 2 pawns in the center. We have most of our knights and bishops developed. Our king is castled to safety, so the last thing we need to do to complete our golden rules is to get this bishop developed. Now, where do you think would be a good idea to develop this bishop? And we want it to be active, right? Here, that's not very active. This is decent because it is attacking an unprotected pawn. This square wouldn't be great, right? Because we just lose the bishop. This wouldn't be great because we would just lose the bishop. So this would also be a decent idea, putting a pin on this knight. All right, so I think our 2 leading candidates are e3 or bishop to g5. Okay, so where do we want to put our bishop? If we play bishop g5, we are pinning it, but that's a temporary pin. It can be knocked out quickly by pawn here. And then we're going to have to move the bishop again. So let's go ahead. Let's go with bishop e3. Yeah, let's go with bishop e3. And black needs to defend this pawn by playing pawn to b6. Now, what is Lee saying over here? She says, I need more experience playing bad positions. So Lee is doing a little trash talking here. So, but we are going to ignore her. We are going to let our chess do the talking. Okay, so let's see here. Do we have any targets? Well, let's get these rooks connected, okay? Let's connecting your rooks is also an important part of opening development. And so now I'm trying to figure out a way. I am looking at pawn to f4 to get our rook active and to create more space. But I want to find a good active square for this queen. Obviously not f3, because then we're blocking this f pawn. We want to push this f pawn to get our rook active, to build space on the king side, to build a king side attack. So I kind of like d2, because we have a nice battery ram, bishop queen battery ram on h6. So black would not be able to play a pawn to h6. And if we want to trade bishop, we could. I don't think we want to trade bishops because this bishop is not very active now because of its pawn here on e5. So let's play queen here to d2. One of the things, though, guys, about playing pawn to f4, it would allow, after black captures our pawn, we capture back, and it does allow this bishop to become active again. So do we want to allow the black bishop here to be active in exchange for gaining an active rook on the f-file? So that would be called an imbalance, an imbalance in the position where do we go for trying to get some activity for our rook in exchange for allowing this bishop to become active? And I don't know if we want to do that. So this bishop, it needed to get developed, but it doesn't have any good squares on this diagonal. So it comes here, but it's not doing much here because we have this pawn structure here. So this bishop is not great. This bishop is not great. Let's see here. Let's see here. What? Let's see here. Let's find. Let's give these passed pawns some extra protection. Extra protection. Okay. Yeah, the queen's trying to find some activity as well. All right, let's go ahead and I really don't want to allow this bishop to become active, but sometimes, to make progress, you have to make some sacrifices here. And I'm eyeing I'm eyeing this move right here. Okay. It opens up the position for black, and I don't want to do it, but how to make progress? to make progress here. Okay. This is going to be a positional decision here, but I think let's go for it. Yeah, see, I want to do this right away because I didn't want this knight to come in and put a blockade here. And you know what, guys? Let's keep this pawn here. Yeah. Okay, guys. We are not going to capture this pawn here because it'll allow this bishop to become active. This queen will have an active diagonal. And so let's keep this pawn here to restrict the activity of both this bishop and this queen here. And we're going to push it. All right. And we're going to push it here. Okay. So now I don't know if that was a great move. It was for Li. I mean, yeah, attacks the rook, but is that just a one move attack that doesn't really lead to strengthening her position? I'm not sure. Let's attack it right away. Okay, so we are going to. Okay, so what is Li trying to do here? Li. So Li's attacking our bishop here, and so we can, and it's protected, so we don't want to capture it because the queen will capture it. This knight is being attacked. We could trade. We could take the knight and allow this to take it, and then we would actually win a pawn. So we have a chance to win a pawn here. Do we want to trade our bishop here for this knight? If we do not, if we, let's say we decide to put our bishop back here, what kind of future is it going to have on this diagonal? There's a lot of traffic on this diagonal. I don't know what kind of future it's going to have here. But you know what? Let's keep this bishop. Yeah, the knight's forced to go back here. Okay, so does knight? The knight is its activity is restricted. It's only squares here. What if we played pawn to g4? Only reasonable move is knight to f6 because if it means here it's going to lose a pawn. We're going to capture it. But again, remember in the last game against Wally, where we played a pawn away from our king, and it had an effect on our king's safety. With the center block, though, it might be okay. Our king might be okay with the center blocked here. You know what? Let's go for it. Let's go for it. Shall we? All right. It's a risk. It's a risk because it's a risk to our king's safety. And all right. We are going to gain a pawn here. So that will be nice. We will be weak on the dark squares, though, because this bishop's probably going to come here and cause some issues for us. So, but let's take the pawn here. Do we take it with the rook or the queen? Take it with the queen. So Li does have, okay. So her bishop now is strong. That's a strong bishop now. So we did sacrifice allowing her bishop to become active, but we did gain a pawn. So it's a material versus piece activity. Okay, so, but you know what though? If the queen was in front of the bishop, that would make it a little stronger. But this is not. It's not that strong. And this could become strong, especially if we get this pawn here. Okay, yeah, and I think Lee recognized that that would be an issue. Lee might be. I no, I don't think she has time to go here. It's just a check, and the check doesn't lead to much because after our king goes here, our position's pretty safe. So I'm not concerned about the queen c5 check. I think our king is roughly safe. The issue for Lee though is her king safety. With our queen here, if we can get a pawn here, we can't do it now because black is attacking the square 2 times. We only have one piece defending it. But what if we play our pawn here and then play there? See that? Pawn to g5 and then pawn here. Then that pawn will be protected, and then we'll be threatening a checkmate in one. So let's see here. Let's just do we have time for this plan? Probably will. Probably we'll take it, and then we could either trade queens or not. Let's go for that idea. Let's go for that idea. I think that is a good plan. Okay. All right. So Lee recognized the threat on her king. She saw this plan here. Okay, so we have to deal with the threat. Lee's threatening our queen. So I was just wanting to know that we have time for that. Okay, so we're gonna have to get out of here. Yeah. So our only move then is queen here. Okay. Let's see here. We have to take it with, I think, here. Okay. All right. Okay. Lee is threatening our rook here. I'm not sure if that is important. All right. Should we give up the exchange? Maybe. That could be an idea. To give up the exchange. Ooh. Ooh. Now, remember that this bishop we put over here, we weren't sure if it was going to have much of a future on this diagonal? I think its future is starting to look bright. I think it's starting to look bright. What if we play pawn here? We are threatening to capture the queen. The queen would have... Okay, this bishop now is that's a strong piece. That is a very strong piece here. So there are ideas now. We could play... Yeah, that looks really good. It does have a check, but I don't know. I don't see the check doing much here. So we have some tactics here, guys. What we're doing is we are trying to activate this bishop so where it can coordinate with the queen to put a lot of pressure on this king. And so I'm looking at pawn to e5, and probably black will spend a tempo on a check that does not lead to much here. And then, yeah, this bishop's just going to be very strong with the queen here. Yeah, I think this tactic works. If the bishop takes, a bishop will take, and then pieces will be very, very strong here. All right, let's go for it. Let's go for it. Okay, it does have the check, but again, that's only one check, and I don't see any other checks after that. And now, okay. Again, no more checks. I think we can just capture that. Okay, I think we have a forced mate. Oh wait, or do we? Oh, it does have an escape square, huh? All right, so we want to... Ooh, now our king is not safe here. Our king is not safe, huh? Okay. Maybe we should have put our... Yeah, so the black king has this nice escape square on h8. Okay, well, let's oh, maybe we just get rid of this. Whew. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, folks. Both of our kings are in danger. We did sacrifice a pawn. Or no, we sacrificed material. I think we gave up exchange our rook for the bishop. But I thought we had compensation. Now I'm not sure. Okay. Oh no, can't do that, huh? Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Whew. Hmm. Oh my goodness. Well, folks, we are in a slight pickle here. Um, yeah, I think King H8 is coming quickly. And want to get this rook involved somehow. Oh, wait a second. No, it will be defended here. Okay, you know what? This might not be a bad idea. All right, folks, we are going to try to get this knight also involved in the kingside attack. And let's see if we can we need to deal with this first, though. Does it have any more checks? No, there's no more checks there. Okay, let's not sometimes you cannot rush these things. The idea is check here with the knight. Bishop takes. Queen takes. But we need to deal with this first. All right. We're going to go there first. The rook is protected by the queen. Okay, so queen is threatening to capture our queen. All right, there is a check here. I don't know if that leads to much. We have we have a check here. The bishop's not going to capture it because the queen will get it. I think that looks strong as well. So let's go ahead and do this. Check. And okay, so I like our position. I think we have to capture the queen. I think we have to capture the queen. And now we are down a point, but I think our position is strong. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so Lee is threatening our knight here. And we have this beautiful, remember in the beginning of the game how I said this pass pawn could become a positional plus in the end game, and this is definitely a plus for us. Especially if we can get it to d7, which we should be able to fairly quickly. Okay, I like. That is strong. That is, ooh, we're hitting. No, but we don't want to lose this pawn. I was thinking of knight here, forking rook and pawn, and then after the rook moves, our knight. Ooh, but it would be protecting this pawn, huh? Okay, let's go for that then. All right, bishop was attacking our rook, so we got our rook out of the way, but we got it to an active square, right? And now we're going to... So now material's even, and we have just a strong... Ooh, ooh, ooh. This rook doesn't have a lot of... Wait, do we win material there? Rook here. Knight here. Hitting this check here. Here. Oh, I like that. But do we want to give up the open file, though, for the rook? Would trading rooks be good for us? Not necessarily. So if we play rook here, that looks strong too. That does look strong. This pawn is strong. This pawn is very strong. This pawn, of course, is very strong. We have good pawns. We have active pieces, and I'm trying to decide if I want to give up the open e file by playing something like this. We'll allow a check, but does that check lead to anything? Check. Check here, but then here, and then yes, I can move here to protect it. Oh boy. Okay. Okay. I think we're just gonna go for it. Make sure that we don't... This bishop stays strong. We want this bishop to stay strong here. Oh, there's... All right. I was thinking of knight takes here, rook takes, bishop takes, but then I don't like pawn f5 because we're going to lose this pawn. It'll disconnect the coordination between the bishop protecting this pawn, and we won't be able to keep the pawn. Can't capture the pawn because the rook will capture the bishop. So don't want that. Okay, so, but then if we do that, it's going to have a hard time defending. Decisions, guys. All right, let's okay. Not a huge fan of that, but I think it's okay. All right, so we're gonna this. Okay, so now we have two very strong pawns. They are both protected by this. What? Okay, okay. We have two extremely strong pawns here, and This bishop is... Let's see here. What can we do here? Yeah, this king can't really move away from this pawn, right? Yeah, I think that works. Because if the king captures the knight, we have the pawn is going to promote. And so that's going to lose material now for white, because white is going to have to give up a rook for this knight. And now we're just at a winning endgame. This is a completely winning endgame. Wow. However, opposite color bishops, we could have an issue. Perhaps. So we're up 2 pawns, but we have what's known as opposite color bishops. Whew. Okay. All right, so there's kind of a zugzwang here. Yeah. Okay. We have our king on a good square. It protects the promotion square. The king has to stay here because it has to protect the bishop here, and I don't think the king's not going to be able to. The king is not going to be able to defend both this promotion square and this square. So I think we just have now winning position because we don't want to give up this pawn, but now we can get this bishop by promoting it. And now we're going to get the bishop. And now we have a winning endgame. We can just, because you notice this king can never go away from protecting the h8 square because we'll just queen right here. So we can just take our time. This is a winning position here. And we're just going to promote with this pawn. And here it goes. All the way home. And we're going to get to promote it with check. And we can even just give up the bishop. Doesn't matter. We can get 2 queens here. Just got to watch out for the stalemate. We don't want to get a stalemate here, folks. All right. And so we're just going to cut off the king escape route and just do like it's called a ladder mate. And just make sure there's no stalemate. Make sure the king has some squares to move to. And just making sure it has squares to move to. It does. Okay, and then we're going to mate on the H file. This queen is the guard. It's guarding the G file, so the king will not be able to move over to the G file. And this queen will be the chaser by mating on the H file. Wow. Well, that was a tough one. Lee was tough. Oh, this is pretty cool. Game review. We can click on that since we had a few mistakes here. It's going to take a look at our...
Way to finish off the game, accurately converting your endgame advantage into a win.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's pretty cool. Look at that. So my accuracy percentage was around 86%. Leeds was 79. and they give you a list of this was a brilliant move and some great moves. So the double exclam symbol, that is brilliant move. Single exclam, great move. Best move is star. Mistakes would be orange. Miss 4. And the blunder, double question mark. And it gives you an estimated rating value. So it's saying here that Lee's estimated rating of how she played was 1850, and it says that mine was around 2300. And let's
The English is a more patient opening, where white plays c4 to control the d5 square without committing a central pawn. Castling on the same side as your opponent and preparing for the middle game. Black was worse off, but now they are in a losing position. The only move, and you found it. You trade off equal material.
Yeah, remember we talked about how this move would restrict the activity of this bishop, and it would create a passed pawn, and this passed pawn did become a strong asset in the end game. All right, well, that's pretty cool. So you can go through and have your position. Wow, I hope this is double X.
You found the right idea by sacrificing your knight. Right on target.
Because we could take this pawn because this king is stuck protecting the pawn promotion square of this pawn right here. So that allowed us to...
You found the right idea by sacrificing your knight.
We could capture on f7 because the king cannot capture because that allows us to queen a pawn here. So that was a nice way to finish it off. And here...
This is the strongest option.
Okay, and this yeah.
This move wins a bishop.
Yeah, at that point the game is over. Okay, well, wow, that was a tough.
Way to finish off the game, accurately converting your endgame advantage into a win.
Okay, I'd like to. Okay, I just want to. Yeah, this was a. Yeah, this I think was a turning point. This passed pawn became quite strong, and we're already at, the engine says we're already at plus 2.30 in this position with our positional advantage for the passed pawn and the restriction of the activity of this bishop on this diagonal right here because of the pawn, its own pawn blocking its activity. All right, okay, guys, that was a good one. That was challenging. Lee from Taiwan, rated 2,000. She put up a good game. All right, we'll see you for the next one. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.